Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you're having a great evening. And so today we're going to talk about some of the latest news happening through cryptocurrency, happening in the Post community, the Hex community, and that is the SEC is suing Richard Hart, who they're referring to allegedly for $1 billion in unregistered crypto sales and multi-million-dollar fraud. So it's a lot going on there. It's not just they're suing him because of one particular thing, right? Richard Schuler, also known as Richard Hart, defrauded investors out of millions through his Hex crypto asset. The SEC alleged Schuler used proceeds from the $1 billion offer and sale to purchase high-end watches, real estates, and jewels. Schuler faces 3 civil charges in the Eastern District of New York City, right? Of New York, rather, right? And that's Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC. And Gary Gensler has had some problems over the last few years. I have a different view of Gary. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I actually think whereas some people see Gary Gensler as being kind of lax with the FTX and then a variety of things, I kind of have a slightly different perspective. I think Gary Gensler was probably, looking at crypto as this new asset class and not wanting to make moves so abruptly. And kind of which I think was kind of good to not just rush in and start prosecuting people as such. But it just so happens he was on the watch of one of the more larger situations with FTX and such, and Luna and Celsius and such. And I think it was just an unfortunate thing that happened with Gary Gensler. Right now, though, uh, whoever lines up after that, I feel they're like left to the wolves, meaning that Gary Gensler's going to come out hard fighting now. He's not going to hold back and see if it's better to let crypto grow in the United States value wise, so we got the technological edge. Now I think he's just going to try to save face and bury whoever else gets in the radar. And right now that's Richard Hart. And Richard Hart is the worst person that could under Gary Gensler's radar because he probably is going to end up representing everything somebody like Gary Gensler doesn't like, right? Now, cryptocurrency, like what I've told y'all, who the people who watch the channel already should know this. They kind of know where I stand with Pulse and Hex. And many years ago, I got off the bandwagon. I felt it was just going in the wrong direction. And I didn't have a whole lot positive left to say about it. But I was hoping that the people involved in it, would still have some prosperity and not lose their money as such. But unfortunately, uh, due to these circumstances, it's going to force a lot of value. That's going to make it 10 times harder now for these people to gain value. You're going to have to wait longer. They've already waited several years for this thing to take off. So it's a very unfortunate situation, but I hope it serves as a learning example, right? That, like I've been saying before, we got to stop just chasing money and products, that are hyped and overhyped. And that's what's gotten you guys in trouble. And that's why some of you guys are stuck. Your money's stuck in. And I don't know if you're ever going to be able to recover uh, the money you have in there, right? Uh, Instead of, I think, subscribing to more grounded channels, what you guys have done, you've went over to the big Hex influencers who have told you sweet nothings, and now you could be facing a potential issue. Now, it's been posed that products like Zen is similar to Hex and such, but I think it's vast differences. And one of the bigger vast differences is, of course, Zen didn't raise money, didn't hold people's money. uh, and what is basically a thinly disguised securities offering, right? I mean, come on, folks. Let's just use some simple logic here, right? Imagine if big corporations throughout the United States just told you they're going to raise billions of dollars of your money, but the way they're going to do it is they're going to tell you, hey, you know, you're going to give us the money. You're going to throw away all this money for nothing to make this statement, and we're just going to hold your billions of dollars over here. Big corporations, whether it be something like Walmart or Apple or Tesla or something, we're gonna hold, billions of your dollars, and you're giving us all this money just to sacrifice for a freedom of speech. Does that make any sense? No, of course, people are going to be expecting to make a lot of money. That's why they've given you over $1 billion. And it's almost like playing the SEC for a fool to think that they don't have other cases and people who have attempted similar things to get around securities offerings, raising money, right? And I think sometimes when people think they're smarter than the average bear, they tend to think other people are less intelligent than them, and maybe they think they can get away with certain things they can't get away with, right? So I think this also kind of explains a lot of why Richard Hart's been very, very quiet, because anything he would say about his products, when the SEC got a hold of it, it will be used against them in court, right? So it's almost like being on a gag order, right? Even though it might not be enforced, it's still kind of the same thing. And it certainly has hurt the post community, right? So it's not a good thing. It certainly is not a good thing. It's nothing positive going to come out of this for the Hex community, the post community. They use examples like XRP, which is not out of the woods yet. And we don't know what the SEC will want to do with this. They could want to just give a fine, like in other cases they've done, or it might just be surrender money back to investors. You can't always set one precedence to mean they're going to do that, right? I don't know if there are going to be criminal charges involved in this or not. We don't know that. So I hear a lot of people going around saying, "Oh, well, they only gave such a slap on the wrist and a fine. They're going to do this, that." It might depend deeper on the nature of the case, right? They might not look at some of the lawsuits against EOS and some of the projects of the past. They might have not looked at them as fraud cases. They might look at some of the things and the ways Richard Hart has handled this is different. So we don't know that. I guess the overall message, well, first I want to say how Zen's not similar to that in the way that it didn't raise securities offerings money. I don't like the fact that Zen did promote itself as a free cryptocurrency and then use something like Ethereum. That I didn't like. I always warned against using Ethereum because it's so expensive and such. I just thought that was a bad idea. But that's probably the only negative I would have against Zen Crypto. I wouldn't look at them as any type of fraudulent activities as such. In that sense, perhaps a bad investment, in certain aspects, but not that, anything like Hex. So I don't think it would be anything like Hex. If it did have some kind of securities violations, I don't think the punishment would be anything like I think what's going to happen with Hex in the post chain, right? Let's take you over to Bitcoin and YK real quick before I get out of here. All right, gang. So, as many of you all know, I've been quite impressed with WorldCoin, what it's doing. Um, it's one of those cryptocurrency projects I think it's going someplace, right? In most every department, there are some things like the privacy issues that people are taking issue with. I think through a little study and research, you'll find that some of the things they're putting out there about it isn't true. But maybe this is a turning point for us, guys. You know, the hex community, the post community. Uh, you know how many of you have blindly kind of just followed Richard Hart off into that. This might serve as a turning point for you guys to start looking at the fundamentals in these projects, making sure it makes sense on every degree. Uh, you know, asking questions, not just following into hype trains. What we're seeing and what we've seen time and time again is that projects that have excitement and have a lot of people in them don't necessarily mean they're going to end well, right? So just because you see that doesn't mean that's what it's going to be. If you look at something like WorldCoin, which I've been talking about, people were talking about it years ago, and nobody thought it would have a show like it's having right now. Nobody thought the prices would sustain themselves, the value would go up. And, you know, it's doing that. I think projects like Bitcoin MYK, what I'm on right now, are doing that. And I think they have the fundamentals that make good businesses, right? That make good products, that make good cryptocurrencies, that serve a more decentralized nature. Because I think that's another error a lot of people are making. They're saying things like the SEC is attacking decentralized products. I don't think the SEC really is attacking decentralized products, because if that were the case, it would be attacking Bitcoin, and it's not. I think it's attacking products that are questionably decentralized, right? We know that the post community, hex community, is questionably decentralized, right, as many others. And so, hopefully, guys, this is a turning point for you all, to get in, you know, get on the channels, get under influencers who, you know, aren't just telling you what you want to hear, but trying to, you know, educate you and get you into things that are going to be useful and helpful to you, you know, in the future, because I don't think this is going to be. And if your money's locked up in Hex, it's locked up in Pulse, and it's under right now, and you don't know if it's coming back, neither do I, but it's looking like it probably won't. And if it doesn't come back, then at some point, you're going to have to take responsibility for that, right? Because at this point, you can kind of see clearly what's happening and where this is going. But just want to remind you guys to check out my videos on WorldCoin, to check out my videos on Bitcoin MYK. These are the two projects you will never see go down in a situation like this, and that's probably what you need to be looking at. But that's all I want to say in this video, guys. The next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.